Cried the Beloved Country, Chapter 29. They passed again through the great gate in the grim high wall, Father Vincent and Camalo, Gertrude and the girl, and Msimangu. The boy was brought to them, and for a moment some great hope showed in his eyes, and he stood there trembling and shaking. But Camalo said to him gently, "We are come for the marriage," and the hope died out. "My son, here is your wife that is to be." The boy and the girl greeted each other like strangers, each giving hands without life, not to be shaken, but to be held loosely, so that the hands fell apart easily. They did not kiss after the European fashion, but stood looking at each other without words, bound in a great constraint. But at last she asked, "Are you in health?" And he answered, "I am greatly." And he asked, "Are you in health?" And she answered, "I am greatly also." But beyond that there was nothing spoken between them. Father Vincent left them, and they all stood in the same constraint. Msimangu saw that Gertrude would soon break out into wailing and moaning, and he turned his back on the others and said to her gravely and privately, "Heavy things have happened, but this is a marriage, and it were better to go at once than to wail or moan in this place." When she did not answer, he said sternly and coldly, "Do you understand me?" And she said resentfully, "I understand you." He left her and went to a window in the great grim wall, and she stood sullenly silent, but he knew she would not do what it was in her mind to have done. And Camalo said desperately to his son, "Are you in health?" And the boy answered, "I am greatly." "Are you in health, my father?" So Camalo said, "I am greatly." He longed for other things to say, but he could not find them. And indeed it was a mercy for them all when a white man came to take them to the prison chapel. Father Vincent was waiting there in his vestments, and he read to them from his book. Then he asked the boy if he took this woman, and he asked the girl if she took this man. And when they had answered, as it is laid down in that book, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do them part, he married them. Then he preached a few words to them, that they were to remain faithful and to bring up what children there might be in the fear of God. So were they married and signed their names in the book. After it was done, the two priests and the wife and Gertrude left father and son, and Camalo said to him, "I am glad you are married." "I also am glad, my father. I shall care for your child, my son, even as if it were my own." But when he realized what it was he had said, his mouth quivered, and he would indeed have done that which he was determined not to do, had not the boy said out of his own suffering, "When does my father return to Indoceni?" "Tomorrow, my son." "Tomorrow?" "Yes, tomorrow. And you will tell my mother that I remember her." "Yes, indeed, I shall tell her. Yes, indeed, I shall take her that message. Why, yes, indeed." But he did not speak those words, he only nodded his head. "And my father?" "Yes, my son. I have money in a post office book. Nearly £4 is there. It is for the child. They will give it to my father at the office. I have arranged for it." "Yes, indeed, I shall get it. Yes, indeed, even as you have arranged." "Why, yes, indeed." "And my father?" "Yes, my son. If the child is a son, I should like his name to be Peter." And Camalo said in a strangled voice, "Peter." "Yes, I should like it to be Peter." "And if it is a daughter?" "No, if it is a daughter, I have not thought of any name." "And my father?" "Yes, my son. I have a parcel at Germiston, at the home of Joseph Bengu, at number 12 Maseru Street. I should be glad if it could be sold for my son." "Yes, I hear you. There are other things that Pafuri had, but I think he will deny that they are mine." "Pafuri? This same Pafuri?" "Yes, my father. It is better to forget them. It is as my father sees. And these things at Germiston, my son, I do not know how I could get them before we leave tomorrow." "Then it does not matter." But because Camalo could see that it did matter, he said, "I shall speak to the Reverend Msimangu. That would be better." "And this Pafuri," said Camalo bitterly, "and your cousin, I find it hard to forgive them." The boy shrugged his shoulders hopelessly. "They lied, my father. They were there even as I said." "Indeed they were there, but they are not here now." "They are here, my father. This is another case against them. There is another case against them." "I did not mean that, my son. I mean they are not. But he could not bring himself to say what he meant. "They are here," said the boy, not understanding. "Here in this place. Indeed, my father, it is I who must go." "Go?" "Yes, I must go to Kamalo whispered, "To Pretoria?" At those dread words, the boy fell on the floor. He was crouched in the way that some of the Indians pray, and he began to sob with great tearing sounds that convulsed him, for a boy is afraid of death. The old man, moved to it by that deep compassion which was there within him, knelt by his son and ran his hand over his head. "Be of courage, my son." "I am afraid," he cried, "I am afraid." "Be of courage, my son." The boy reared up on his haunches. He had nothing. His face was distorted by his cries. "Oh, oh, I am afraid of the hanging," he sobbed. "I am afraid of the hanging." Still kneeling, the father took his son's hands, and they were not lifeless any more, but clung to his, seeking some comfort, some assurance. And the old man held them more strongly, and said again, "Be of good courage, my son." The white warder, hearing these cries, came in and said, but not with unkindness, "Old man, you must go now." "I am going, sir, I am going, sir. But give us a little time longer." So the warder said, "Well, only a little time longer," and he withdrew. "My son, dry your tears." So the boy took the cloth that was offered him and dried his tears. He kneeled on his knees, and though the sobbing was ended, the eyes were far-seeing and troubled. "My son, I must go now. Stay well, my son. I shall care for your wife and your child." "It is good," he says. Yes, he says it is good, but his thoughts are not on any wife or child. Where his thoughts are, there is no wife or child. Where his eyes are, there is no marriage. "My son, I must go now." He stood up, but the boy caught his father by the knees and cried out to him, "You must not leave me, you must not leave me." He broke out again into the terrible sobbing and cried, "No, no, you must not leave me." The white warder came in again and said sternly, "Old man, you must go now." And Kamala would have gone, but the boy held him by the knees, crying out and sobbing. The warder tried to pull his arms away, but he could not, and he called another man to help him. Together they pulled the boy away, and Kamalo said desperately to him, "Stay well, my son." But the boy did not hear him, and so they parted. Heavy with grief, Kamalo left him and went out to the gate in the wall where the others were waiting. And the girl came to him and said shyly, but with a smile, "Umfundis?" "Yes, my child. I am now your daughter." He forced himself to smile at her. "It is true," he said, and she was eager to talk of it, but when she looked at him, she could see that his thoughts were not of such matters. She did not speak of it further. After he had returned from the prison, Kamala walked up the hill that led to the street where his brother had the carpenter's shop. For a wonder, there was no one in the shop except the big bull man, who greeted him with a certain constraint. "I am come to say farewell to you, my brother." "Well, well, you are returning to Indocheni. You have been a long time away, my brother, and your wife will be glad to see you. When are you leaving?" "We leave tomorrow by the train that goes at 9 o'clock. So Gertrude is going with you and her child. You are doing a good thing, my brother. Johannesburg is not a place for a woman alone. But we must drink some tea." He stood up to go and call to the woman at the back of the house, but Kamalo said, "I do not wish for any tea, my brother." "You must do as you wish, my brother," said John Kamalo. "It is my custom to offer tea to my visitors." He sat down and made such show of lighting a big bowl pipe, holding it between his teeth and searching amongst some papers for matches, but not looking at his brother. "It is a good thing you are doing, my brother," he said, with the pipe between his teeth. "Johannesburg is not a place for woman alone, and the child will be better in the country." "I am taking another child also," said Kamalo, "the wife of my son, and she is with child." "Well, well, I have heard of it," said John Kamalo, giving attention to the match above his pipe. "That is another good thing you are doing." His pipe was lit, and he thumbed the tobacco down, giving it much attention. But at last there was nothing left to do, and he looked at his brother through the smoke. "Not one, but more than one person has said to me, 'These are good things that your brother is doing.' Well, well, you must give my remembrances to your wife and to our other friends. You will get to Pietermaritzburg early in the morning, and you will catch the train to Donnybrook, and that evening you will be at Indocheni. Well, well, it is a long journey. My brother, there is a matter that must be spoken between us." "It is as you wish, my brother." "I have considered it very deeply. I have not come here to reproach you." And John Kamalo said quickly, as though he had been expecting it, "Reproach me? Why should you reproach me? There is a case and a judge. That is not for you or me or any other person." The veins stood out on the bull neck, but Kumalo was quick to speak. I do not say that I should reproach you. As you say, there is a case and a judge. There is also a great judge, but of him you and I do not speak. But there is quite another matter that must be spoken. Well, I understand. What is this matter? One thing is to greet you before I go, but I could not greet you and say nothing. You have seen how it is with my son. He left his home, and he was eaten up. Therefore I thought that this must be spoken. What of your own son? He also has left his home. I am thinking about this matter, said John Khumalo. When this trouble is finished, I shall bring him back here. Are you determined? I am determined, I promise you that. He laughed his bull laugh. I cannot leave all the good deeds to you, my brother. The fatted calf will be killed here. That is a story to remember. Well, it is a story to remember. I do not throw away good teaching because, you understand me. And there is one last thing, said Khumalo. You are my older brother. Speak what you wish. Your politics, my brother. Where are they taking you? The bull veins stood out again on the bull throat. My politics, my brother, are my own. I do not speak to you about your religion. You said speak what you wish. Well, I did say it. Well, yes, I am listening. Where are they taking you? I know what I am fighting for. You will pardon me. He laughed his great laugh. The Reverend Msimangu is not here, so you'll pardon me if I talk English. Speak what you will. You have read history, my brother. You know that history teaches that the men who do the work cannot be kept down forever. If they will stand together, who will stand against them? More and more our people understand that. If they so decide, there will be no more work done in South Africa. You mean if they strike? Yes, I mean that. But this last strike was not successful. John Khumalo stood on his feet, and his voice growled in his throat. Look what they did to us, he said. They forced us into the mines as though we were slaves. Have we no right to keep back our labor? Do you hate the white man, my brother? John Khumalo looked at him with suspicion. I hate no man, he said. I hate only injustice. But I have heard some of the things you have said. What things? I have heard that some of them are dangerous things. I have heard that they are watching you, that they will arrest you when they think it is time. It is this matter that I must bring to you because you are my brother. Have no doubt it is fear in the eyes. The big man looks like a boy that is caught. I do not know what these things are, he says. I hear it is some of the things that are said in this shop, said Khumalo. In this shop? Who would know what is said in this shop? For all his prayers for the power to forgive, Khumalo desired to hurt his brother. Do you know every man who comes to this shop? He asked. Could a man not be sent to this shop to deceive you? The big bull man wiped the sweat from his brow. He was wondering, Khumalo knew, if such a thing might be true, or might not be. And for all the prayers, the desire to hurt was stronger, so strong that he was tempted to lie, yielded, and then lied. I have heard, he said, that a man might have been sent to this shop to deceive you, as a friend. You heard that? And Khumalo, ashamed, had to say, I heard it. What a friend, said the big bull man, what a friend. And Khumalo cried at him out of his suffering, my son had 2 such friends. The big man looked at him. Your son, he said. Then the meaning of it came to him, and anger overwhelmed him. Out of my shop, he roared, out of my shop! He kicked over the table in front of him and came at Khumalo, so that the old man had to step out of the door into the street, and the door shut against him, and he could hear the key turned and the bolt shot home in his brother's anger. Out there in the street he was humiliated and ashamed. Humiliated because the people passing looked in astonishment. Ashamed because he did not come for this purpose at all. He had come to tell his brother that power corrupts, that a man who fights for justice must himself be cleansed and purified, that love is greater than force. And none of these things had he done. God have mercy on me. Christ have mercy on me. He turned to the door, but it was locked and bolted. Brother had shut out brother. From the same womb had they come. The people were watching, so he walked away in his distress. I cannot thank you enough, said Jarvis. We would have done more if we could, Jarvis. John Harrison drove up, and Jarvis and Harrison stood for a moment outside the car. Our love to Margaret and to Mary and the children, Jarvis. We'll come down and see you one of these days. You will be welcome, Harrison, very welcome. One thing I wanted to say, Jarvis, said Harrison, dropping his voice, about the sentence. It can't bring the dead back, but it was right, absolutely right. It couldn't have been any other way, as far as I'm concerned. If it had been any other way, I'd have felt there was no justice in the world. I am only sorry the other two got off. The Crown made a mess of that case. They should have hammered at that woman Mkhizi. Yes, I felt that way too. Well, goodbye to you, and thank you again. I am glad to do it. At the station, Jarvis gave John Harrison an envelope. Open it when I'm gone, he said. So, when the train had gone, young Harrison opened it. For your club, it said, do all the things you and Arthur wanted to do. If you like to call it the Arthur Jarvis Club, I will be pleased, but that is not a condition. Young Harrison turned it over to look at the check underneath. He looked at the train as though he might have run after it. 1,000 pounds, he said. Helen of Troy, 1,000 pounds. They had a party at Mrs. Luthebe's in which Msimangu was the host. It was not a gay party, that was hardly to be thought of, but the food was plentiful and there was some sad pleasure in it. Msimangu presided after the European fashion and made a speech commending the virtues of his brother priest and the motherly care that Mrs. Luthebe had given to all under her roof. Kamalo made a speech too, but it was stumbling and uncertain, for the lie and the quarrel were uppermost in his mind. But he thanked Msimangu and Mrs. Luthebe for all their kindnesses. Mrs. Luthebe would not speak, but giggled like a girl and said that people were born to do such kindness. But her friend, the stout woman, spoke for her, a long speech that seemed as if it would never end, about the goodness of both priests and the goodness of Mrs. Luthebe, and she spoke plainly about the duty of Gertrude and the girl to lead good lives and to repay all the kindnesses shown to them. And that led her on to talk about Johannesburg and the evils of that great city, and the sinfulness of the people in Sophia Town and Claremont and Alexandra and Pimville. Indeed, Msimangu was compelled to rise and say to her mother, we must rise early in the morning, otherwise we could listen to you forever. So that, happy and smiling, she sat down. Then Msimangu told them that he had news for them, news that had been private until now, and that this was the first place where it would be told. He was retiring into a community, and would forswear the world and all possessions, and this was the first time that a black man had done such a thing in South Africa. There was clapping of hands, and all gave thanks for it, and Gertrude sat listening with enjoyment to the speeches at this great dinner, her small son asleep against her breast, and the girl listened also with eager and smiling face, for in all her years she had never seen anything the like of this. Then Msimangu said, we must all rise early to catch the train, my friends, and it is time we went to our beds, for the man with the taxi will be here at 7. So they closed with a hymn and prayers, and the stout woman went off with yet more thanks to Mrs. Luthebe for her kindness to these people. Kumalo went with his friend to the gate, and Msimangu said, I am forsaking the world and all possessions, but I have saved a little money. I have no father or mother to depend on me, and I have the permission of the church to give this to you, my friend, to help you with all the money you have spent in Johannesburg and all the new duties you have taken up. This book is in your name. He put the book in Kumalo's hand, and Kumalo knew by the feeling of it that it was a post office book. And Kumalo put out his hand. He put his hands with the book on the top of the gate, and he put his head on his hands, and he wept bitterly. And Msimangu said to him, do not spoil my pleasure, for I have never had a pleasure like this one. Which words of this made the old man break from weeping into sobbing, so that Msimangu said, there is a man coming. Be silent, my brother. They were silent till the man passed, and then Kumalo said, in all my days I have no one as you are. I have known no one as you are. And Msimangu said sharply, I am a weak and sinful man, but God put his hands on me, that is all. And as for the boy, he said, it is the Governor-General in Council who must decide if there will be mercy. As soon as Father Vincent hears, he will let you know. And if they decide against him? If they decide against him, said Msimangu soberly, one of us will go to Pretoria on that day and let you know, when it is finished. And now I must go, my friend. We must be up early in the morning. But of you too I ask a kindness. Ask all that I have, my friend. I ask that you will pray for me in this new thing I am about to do. I shall pray for you morning and evening all the days that are left. Good night, brother. Good night, Msimangu, friend of friends, and may God watch over you always. And you also. Kumalo watched him go down the street and turn into the mission house. Then he went into the room and lit his candle and opened the book. There was 33 pounds, 4 shillings, and 5 pence in the book. He fell on his knees and groaned and repented of the lie and the quarrel. He would have gone there and then to his brother, but even as it is commanded, but the hour was late. But he would write his brother a letter. He thanked God for all the kindnesses of men, and was comforted and uplifted. And these things done, he prayed for his son. Tomorrow they would all go home, all except his son. And he would stay in the place where they would put him, in the great prison in Pretoria, in the barred and solitary cell, and mercy failing, would stay there until he was hanged. Ay, but the hand that had murdered had once pressed the mother's breast into the thirsting mouth, had stolen into the father's hand when they went out into the dark. Ay, but the murderer, afraid of death, had once been a child, afraid of the night. In the morning he rose early. It was yet dark. He lit his candle, and suddenly remembering, went on his knees and prayed his prayer for Msimangu. He opened the door quietly and shook the girl gently. "It is time for us to rise," he said. She was eager at once. She started up from the blankets. "I shall not be long," she said. He smiled at the eagerness. "Indocheni," he said. "Tomorrow it is Indocheni." He opened Gertrude's door and held up his candle, but Gertrude was gone. The little boy was there. The red dress and the white turban were there, but Gertrude was gone.